Have you ever looked at all the gear musicians use and wonder, how does it all work? My name's Dustin, and my family and I are setting out on a quest to inspire both adult and kid musicians to create new sounds together and learn all about what it takes to produce great music. We'd like to invite you along on the journey as we explore the gear professional studios, musicians, and hobbyists use to create their art. We'll take a close-up look at the gear and ask,
what's this button do?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of What's This Button Do? I'm your host Dustin, and today we are going to be finishing up our Beach Boys series with the Keeley I Get Around pedal. Finally got this in. It's been lost in the mail twice now and it finally showed up. So I thought tonight we're gonna crack this thing open, load it up, and hear how it sounds. This is based on the old kind of Leslie rotary speaker kind of sound. And it is an insanely fun pedal with some serious work by Robert Keeley to kind of capture that old sound of the 60s and 70s swirly whirly sound. So let's see if Robert nailed it. We'll hop over to the pedal board. So for today's episode, we're going to be using my trusty Asher guitar. We're going to be running straight into the I Get Around in mono, straight into the guitar and coming back out. This is my clean tone. And this will become very important here in a second when you hear when I turn this pedal on, what's going to happen. You're going to instantly hear a little bit of a volume drop. You can hear having that swirling sound. If I turn the blend all the way down, even with the pedal on, there's a natural volume drop to the pedal itself. It's just bringing down a little bit. So there's a couple things that we can do. Now, this has got simple controls. You've got a blend knob here. You've got a little switch here that has a boost and a mid section. And then this little knob right here that says drive. So if we take this and we have our drive set all the way down here, here's what it sounds like. As I bring this up, it's real subtle. Sorry about that. And you hear, it's not a massive, big thing up until about right here. Here's where it's getting you back to kind of that unity gain. It's still a volume drop, but it'll start pushing right around there and distorting your signal a little bit. Now, if you move it up into boost mode, this is going to give you more of a clean style boost. But even with it maxed all the way, there's still a definite gain drop there. You're losing some volume in your guitar itself. But now, here's where we get fun. Let's leave this boost all the way up to do a little makeup game for us. And we're gonna start introducing the rotary sound by introducing this blend knob. Yeah, you get a little volume drop, but listen to that. How beautiful is that? The swirling. That is gorgeous. And if we introduce more. And what I've noticed here is if we bring this up quite a bit, you kind of make some of that volume back as well. So the higher you have that blend knob, you're losing your clean signal itself versus, but you get some of that volume back. Just absolutely gorgeous. And then the cool thing is you've got this gigantic speed knob here. Now there's one thing I really love about having it be so big. If you've got this on your pedal board, you can take your foot and just grab this with your shoe and kind of increase or decrease the rate of speed, kind of like you would with like a wah pedal. Because that slow speed such a beautiful swirl, and even at its lowest juncture, I like that sound so much better than a phaser, and it's not the like chunkiness of a univibe. It doesn't really go through zero. It never goes completely silent. It just gives a nice wave to that sound, and real subtle, real beautiful ways. Just gorgeous. And then what's really neat here is there is a not just this part of it where you can speed that up, but we also have this slow fast button that what we do is by clicking that, it will actually take the pedal and slow it down. And when we click it again, it's going to slowly ramp it up to the speed that we have it at. And we click it again and it'll slow down. Now, that gives you a very natural kind of Leslie sound, because if you hear those motors on the old Leslies and the old Wurlitzer organs, when those motors are spinning, they don't just instantaneously stop. They actually take a second to slow down, and that is what Robert has captured in this pedal. There's nothing spinning around inside this pedal. This is all DSP, and he's programmed it to have that natural increase in speed and that natural decrease in speed to capture that old effect, and I think he absolutely nailed it. Just so stinking cool. Now, the other thing I'm going to do real quick is how do we compensate for that little bit of a volume drop? Because that's really the only real negative I can find to this pedal. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my Mythos Mjolnir, which you guys have heard me talk about a million times. It's just kind of a Klon circuit. Sounds beautiful. I've got the gain turned down quite a bit. I've got the treble at about noon, the output at about noon to give me some of that makeup gain. So now when I've got the pedal on, and then I introduce the Mjolnir, see, we make some of that back up. And we can even bring the output down a little bit. As long as we're staying in the boost mode, if we go to the mids mode, you can lose a little bit of the treble-y side of that. On the boost side, you get a little bit more of the treble. But that's really good if you're using an overdrive into the pedal. You can choose between the boost mode and the mids mode. If you need the mids to come out a little bit more, you can go to mids. Since I'm using a Klon circuit, it's already pushing the mids. I don't need extra mids in there. I need a little bit more treble compensation, so I can use that treble setting or the boost setting to get that back. Now, the other cool thing is if we put it into slow mode and we introduce a little bit of gain to the pedal, I'm going to take my Mythos Mjolnir and I'm going to put some gain in there, because this can actually take a decent amount of gain without distorting and without getting crazy, where a lot of those digital simulator rotary pedals just can't do that. Listen to this. sounds insanely killer. You don't hear those little digital artifacts. It doesn't drive you nuts. That is what I think Robert has done so well, is not only has he captured that whirly sound and the speeding up and the slowing down of the motor, he's also allowed you to drive that pedal into something crunchy, fun, gainful, and still be able to use the pedal as both a phaser and a Wurlitzer kind of sound to it and get that rotary aspect that everyone loves on a very small form factor pedal. Well freaking done. So what'd you think? Pretty cool, right? Now, there are some drawbacks. We kind of pointed this out. I would say the number one is the volume loss. You're definitely going to want to have a boost or something in front of it to ramp it up, or something behind it to lift that sound off of it. I really think it sounds better driving it in the front end than trying to lift the sound on the back end. There is definitely a volume loss there. Even if you crank that boost that's on there, the boost that's on there is not an insanely powerful boost. Still nice, and I do like that little mid hump. So especially if you're driving a boost into there, having that mid switch there is kind of nice to mess around with. But you're going to want to play with your blend, and you're going to want to use that boost to kind of do some leveling. But really, more importantly, I think get a boost pedal like the LSL boost or like the Santoro, something like that. Stick it in front of it. Even though I'm using that Bondi Del Mar in there, anything like that, just to give it a little bit of something to get over that hump, give you that little bit of makeup gain. That'll help a lot. But the sound, right? Like that swirling sound, absolutely amazing. Now, I did not cover this in the demo, but I did, right after we got done with this, unplug it and plug it in via stereo, just to see how that sounded in stereo, to see if it widened up the image. I'm going to say not that much. It was slightly different, but the sounds, like when I played the two back, honestly very close to each other, running it in mono versus stereo. It's not like the Mr. Black pedals where it gets crazy wide when you go into stereo, because it doesn't have quite the same feel to it. It does still sound good, and it's great that you can run it through two different amps. But I will say running it mono into the entire series of amps is pretty darn close either way. I didn't notice a massive difference in between them. So if you're looking for something that's got like a wide, massive stereo spectrum to make it sound like it's over here and then it's over here, that's not really what this does. This is doing that swirly feeling altogether. So yeah, otherwise, I think everything else about this, it's a simple pedal. Like I said, it's not too complicated. This has been a short video, I know, but it's just a great sounding pedal. So I think Robert nailed it. I think the sound is great. I think the only drawback is just that little bit of a volume suck when you're using the pedal. But outside of that, absolutely killer job. Well, as always, I want to thank my friends from Palen Music for hosting the channel. If you get a chance, please visit them on their website down below. And if you get a chance, please hop over to our Instagram at What's This Button Do Dustin. I'll be over there messing around with some more stuff later on this summer. So I'd love to see you over there as well. Well, next week we're going to be taking a look at a couple of new pedals. We're going to be getting into some cool Thorpe stuff, some cool Spaceman effect stuff, and I even got a new amp from Silktone we're going to be going over shortly. So looking forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. Take care. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you soon.